Imagine a world where over 1 billion members are interconnected, sharing ideas, and changing the future of the global economy. Well, that's no longer a distant dream. It's happening right now on LinkedIn. Amongst those billions of users are the top CEOs of the world's largest companies. In fact, 58% of CEOs named LinkedIn as their most important social platform. And the influence of these CEOs is growing every single day, with postings from CEOs up 28% in just this last year alone. Now, LinkedIn started out as a platform to offer opportunity to members, specifically job opportunities, which it still is today. But today, it's evolved into so much more. It's now a hub that helps people not only find opportunities, but find opportunities through content on the platform. And the content that people are consuming on the platform is helping them do their jobs better and understand their industries better. So today, what I'm going to chat with you all about is 3 different things to help you really move the needle when it comes to creating content on the platform, building your brand, and your thought leadership. And sorry, I'm a little out of breath. I'm 6 months pregnant and trying to talk, so I might sit down. So the very first thing that I want to talk about is crafting a post on LinkedIn. And most of the tips that I share today are going to be relative to the profile side, but everything that you do on your profile resonates and relates to that company page side as well. We recommend having a presence on both the company page and on your profile. So when it comes to crafting your post, the one tip I want to leave you with, I'm going to share a lot, but the number one thing I want to leave you with is making sure that each and every piece of content that you create has clear, actionable, tactical takeaways for your audience. Always keep your audience in mind. Who are you trying to reach, and how is this content going to benefit them? As long as you have that in mind with each piece of content you create, your content's going to perform well. Now, with those clear, actionable takeaways, what we would love to see and what we see perform best on the platform is when each piece of content has about 2 to 3 of those very clear takeaways. Even if you're linking out to an article, a podcast, a long-form piece of content that's off-platform, you want to make sure that the post itself has enough meat on it and enough of those takeaways that sparks someone's interest to click through to that external link or to watch that podcast or video. So making sure that there are clear, actionable takeaways in every single post. The other part when it comes to crafting the post is thinking of a strong opener. There's so much content being posted on the platform right now, and the best way to stand out is to start your post with some type of really strong, catchy sentence that's going to stop someone as they're scrolling. Now, that might be a strong opinion, it might be a quote, or a really striking piece of data. The other thing to keep in mind is your closing sentence. What are you going to ask your audience to do once they've read your post? We recommend having some type of call to action, whether it's having them click through to the piece of content that you're linking out to, watching your podcast or your video, or getting them to jump into the comment section, which is my personal recommendation. The moment you start having people engage with your content, the moment I comment on your piece of content, your content's then going to start being seen by my followers and my connections, helping you get more exposure to a whole new audience who possibly hasn't discovered you on the platform yet. So always keep in mind how to spark a conversation with your post and open up those doors for people to engage in the comment section by asking some type of question that gets them to jump into the comment section. Now, the second thing that I want to leave you all with today is using LinkedIn news and things happening in the news as a way to create content. So most of you might not know this, but our editorial team consists of over 200 editors, reporters, and producers, and community managers like myself who are looking for voices like you who are chiming in on topics happening in the industry, news happening in the industry, to have those voices chime in on topics on the platform. Now, I have a little activity for you all. I normally wouldn't ask you to pull out your phones and look at it while I'm talking, but if you have the LinkedIn app, I'd love for you to pull out your phone right now and open up that LinkedIn app. At the very top of the app, you should see a search bar. Tap on that search bar. What you'll usually see is kind of like any of your recent searches that you probably looked up, probably some folks that you've met here at the conference. Scroll down until you see a section that says Today's News and Views. These are the top 10 stories that our editors are currently working on, and they're stories that our members care about on the platform. I think right now, I looked right before I got on here, but there's a story about Amazon's return to office. There's a story about the numbers to watch this week. Go ahead and click on one of those stories. When you open up those stories, it opens up a deeper article into that news story. And within that story, you'll see a variety of different voices, leaders, executives, content creators, and experts chiming in on that news story, sharing why it's relevant to them, to their industry, to their clients, and what that means. You'll also see that most of those pieces of content are utilizing those tips that I just shared, the takeaways, the strong opener, the closing. So this is a really great place to check out if you're ever stumped on what to post on the platform, looking at those top 10 stories and seeing what can you chime in on that will help your clients and your ideal audience, adding your unique take to those news stories. Now, those news stories change all day throughout the day, just like the news does. And some things we can't predict that will be in there, but there are some things that you can always expect us to be covering that I think will be relevant to most of you here. For example, the Fed Reserve meeting that's happening this week. Guarantee tomorrow we will have a story up on that. Any type of economic reports that are coming out, consumer trends, different types of cultural moments, and some of those might be related to the finance world. Just 2 weeks ago, we did one around National 401k Day. So this is a really, really great place to find those stories relevant to you and to your ideal audience. And the way that you can potentially get featured into those stories is by adding your unique perspective when you do chime in on the news. Don't just regurgitate what's happening in the news, but sharing what it means for you, your clients, and your industry. Our editors are constantly scouring the platform for voices like you who are adding that unique take to feature them in those stories. And when you get featured in those stories, two really great things happen, by the way. First, all of your followers that you currently have on the platform get a notification that you've been featured in the news, but you're also getting exposure to a whole new audience that's clicking on that story from the website or the app, and then getting exposure to your content. Okay. The third thing I want to leave you all with is to jump on video. And I know not everyone has access to be able to do video, but if you can, I highly recommend it. Right now, we are seeing video content perform 1.4 times more than any other format on the platform. Specifically, short-form vertical content. It's really having its moment right now on LinkedIn, and it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. When it comes to video content, we recommend 9:16 aspect ratio, and that's because most of our members are consuming content via mobile. So vertical is kind of the way to go. With video content, keep it short, under 90 seconds. And what I recommend is having one topic or one piece of an idea that you want to share. You don't want to cram in way too many things within one piece of content. That way it's more consumable for your audience to actually understand what you're talking about. The other thing I want to mention, where I see a lot of people kind of not do so well when it comes to posting video or when they use an article on the platform is you spend all this time creating the video or the long piece of content, and then when the post goes up, the caption that's associated with that, they don't really spend time on that, and that's what shows up in the feed. And so with the video content, unlike other social platforms, on LinkedIn, the caption actually comes before the video. So the caption is still equally important to the video. And you still want to make sure you're utilizing those 3 tips, the strong opener, the clear tactical takeaways, and the closing with that caption associated with that video content. Video is also a really great tool to use when you're chiming in on the news. It's a great way to stand out and to have your content be discovered by our editorial team for those potential features. And like I had mentioned earlier, a lot of these best practices are relative to your profile, but that does not mean you shouldn't also be doing these on your company page as well. But also keep in mind that when it comes to a profile, people are more likely to follow another human being than they are a company. So whenever you can make anything relatable and humanize it as you as a human sharing this content, do that, because it'll make you so much easier for someone to relate to and continue following you and engaging with your content. So those are the 3 big things that I wanted to share: crafting the perfect post, including those takeaways, the strong opener, the closing with that call to action, jumping in on LinkedIn News when you can, checking out that news section to see if there's anything relevant happening in your industry that you can add your own take to. And when you can, if compliance allows you, to jump on short form video, because it's really having its time right now, and we're seeing really great success with those doing it. And I totally understand for anyone that might be new to posting on the platform. Everyone gets cold feet when it comes to creating content. I work with some of the largest CEOs of the biggest Fortune 500 companies, helping them with their content on the platform. And even CEOs get nerves posting on LinkedIn. They get a little nervous. Their first post, they don't know how it's going to resonate. They worry about any type of negative comments they might get. That's totally normal. So just take that jump. What I recommend is finding one thing that you want to perfect. My thing would be to lean in on those takeaways, perfect that, and then move on to that next thing, which might be chiming in on the news. I posted my first video on LinkedIn about 3 weeks ago, like talking straight to the video. You know, I always preach it to everyone, like, you got to do video. And I was like, I should probably do this myself if I'm telling everyone else to do it. So I did my first video, and I was so scared to finally post it. I was worried how it was going to relate. I was worried it was going to get 0 views. I was worried about how I looked, how I talked on the video. I ended up having 1.2 million impressions on my video. I don't have that many followers. I have like 10,000 followers. But 1.2 million impressions of people that saw my content, resonated with it, and that's continuing to grow still today, that number. Content on LinkedIn has a longer tail end than some other social platforms, and you might have seen this before, where you see content come across your feed that was posted a week or 2 weeks ago. So always keep that in mind, that this content can continue living on and engaging with others on the platform. So that's what I want to leave you all with today. Don't be too hesitant to post on the platform. There's so much reward that we see from leaders and executives and entrepreneurs and financial advisors and RIAs that are posting on the platform. So make sure that you're building that presence on the platform. It'll help you build your authority, your thought leadership, and grow and scale your business and clientele. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'll be over here afterwards and happy to answer.